Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. I don't know if you can see behind me, there's a transmission to a diesel 7.3 Ford. We're not going to talk any about that today. Back to snow in New England, back to broken plow trucks. Fortunately for you guys, I'm not going to film any of that. I'm underneath the Honda Prelude right now, and I've got the engine bearings in the mail, so I'm going to start putting together the motor. The gasket set's supposed to be here today too, so I don't know how far I'll get. I do still have to tap that hole and plug that one little boo-boo, but otherwise I think we're going to be assembling an H22. And here we are. I'm sorry, you guys, I did a ton of work off film. I actually installed the balance shaft delete. It wasn't super complicated. There was one spot you had to tap out a hole and put a little plug. I should have filmed. This is the kit that I used here. Kaiser Speed balance shaft eliminator. I don't have it completely installed yet. I didn't do the oil pump side. So that's where you plug off a couple of holes here and here with the little kit they give you. These plugs here and here. So anyways, the internal work was all in the cradle of the engine. There was 4 plugs that you had to install to block off oil passages, and then one part in the block that you had to tap out a hole, install a little plug to again stop the oil. It should increase the oil pressure to the rest of the engine to help these guys. There you go. I don't know if you can see the cross hatching in there. So I didn't actually have a hone to fit this engine. So I simply used a piece of 220 grit sandpaper and common sense, and the cross hatching I think looks pretty good for the fact that I didn't really have anything to do it with. What you see dripping there is oil because I just installed these pistons. So these are used H22 pistons that I got off of eBay for $2.25 plus $20 shipping. They were all great. They were all numbered. The caps were all in the right spots, as opposed to my pieces and parts that came in a box. When I bought this car, I bought, it in pieces, and part of that was the engine was sort of halfway disassembled. I was missing a rod cap. They were all mixed matched, and without spending the farm on brand new rods or rods and pistons or any of that, yeah, this is my solution. So we're gonna get this thing running as per usual on the tightest budget possible. I'm over here just turning it off the balancer. And we're gonna get that car over there back on the road on the tightest budget possible. And at the end, I'll go through and let you guys know what I spent. But way under $1,000, car included. At this point. So here's that hole I intend to cap, and you can see right through it. I circled it with a Sharpie there, and I'm obviously not using this to mount the engine to the engine stand right now. The other 3 bolts are holding. There are good threads in there, but I still don't think I'm going to be able to use them even with the plug idea, because the plug that I'm going to install is going to probably be flush with here. So this hole I'm just simply not going to be able to use once I get the motor back in the car. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's got a bunch of other bell housing bolts. I've personally put in engines and not put in a bell housing bolt or 2 here and there, even when there's only 5. So this will work fine. Not really worried about that. Stripped holes happen, stripped bolts happen. And yeah, see, you can just see where it punched out the inside of the engine block right there. And all the oil just, simply leaks out. So this is the way it's supposed to look. I've got this NPT tap that I've coated in some never sees, and it fits pretty good without drilling. So I'm just going to start tapping this hole, see if I can't make some threads. So what we're doing here is we're cutting threads in the block, and then once they're cut nice. I've already sort of ran through this once. I just want to get them in there deep enough because I'm going to try to get the block off plug that I bought to go as deep as possible to at least make it so it's flush to the engine when I mount it to the bell housing. So it's really it'll be a non-factor completely. Let's wind this guy back out. Using a long handled ratchet because cutting the threads at first, they were really fighting me. And I got some air here to blow out the aluminum when I remove the tap. All these aluminum shavings are of course not good for your oil passages in your engine. We'll clean that out better later. Guys, I meant to do this before I installed the pistons in the engine, so that way the block could be sent out and be, pressurized air or whatever, get all the aluminum shavings out. But where it's aluminum, I'm not as concerned as I would be if it were a steel block with steel shavings inside. Aluminum, I'll get as much of it out as humanly possible, and then if there are any microscopic fibers at all whatsoever, aluminum's a soft metal. The first oil filter will catch it. Once we run this engine, we only run it on the lift for a moment or two, drain the oil immediately, run the engine again for an hour or two, drain the oil immediately, and then new oil third time actually drive the car. So there's a lot of break-in with oil, and anything, any dust, anything at all will be caught in the 2 or 3 oil filters between the first and driving the oil. Go ahead and stop it. This is the plug I got. Now what I really wanted was something with an Allen or Star in the middle to drive it home. What I might end up having to do is cut the first part of this hole bigger with a bigger drill bit, just so I have room to bite this square bit to drive it in flush. Not 100% sure yet if that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna go ahead and put some thread locker on this thing. Well, actually, maybe I'll get a socket on there and see if it follows. I can already tell it's not going to, so I can already tell I've got some more drilling I have to do before I can expect to get this about this deep in the block, or at least where the square is flush. So yeah, I get back to work. Alright, this is not the best method or the best drill bit for this. In fact, I've already run into a problem. It doesn't seem to want to bite. And no, I'm on the first speed, so slow cutting is your best. Your best cutting. And I am going to have to retap this hole. Alright. Alright, now I'm just going to try to drill real slow. And this is a monster drill bit. And what I need is, I need it to go the depth of the head of that plug, which is, I don't actually want to blow it inside. I almost did that on accident. I actually want to kind of blow it out. So we're about halfway there. That there's the clutch on the drill, and I actually shouldn't have it with the clutch on, but in case it decides to bite and twist, the clutch is better to have than my wrists breaking. I mean, sounds like the drill's struggling, but really I'm holding the trigger down not very much. See? I could do that. Slow cutting is your best cutting. And also, it's not sending a bunch of filings inside the motor this way. They're all kind of coming back out at us. So what we're going to do now, we'll just check the depth of the socket, and look at that. That fits very nicely, and we're in there about as deep as it'll allow it. So now we're going to run the tap through one more time, get those threads right, and hopefully plug off this hole. Say when. what I'm doing is I'm cutting the holes just a little bit deeper in here now that I've got kind of a wall. I want to be able to get, there we go. You just kind of come from this angle. See just how deep I've got that tap in there. See that? There. We're gonna take the tap back out. We're gonna blow that hole back out one more time. Brake clean it. Then we're gonna send our plug home and see what happens. Red thread locker here. Put on the threads. And this is an NPT National Pipe Thread plug that I'm gonna use. So really the thread locker is just an extra added thing. You can't see it with the naked eye very well, but the threads start smaller and expand bigger. So when you go to thread it in a hole, like the one we cut, it will actually wedge itself in there. If I can do it without getting all the thread locker all over my hands. And we just sort of start spinning her. And I'm feeling it getting tight now. And that's kind of what we want there, is for the 11 to slip off of it. I'm gonna grab a deeper 11 if I got one. So there we got the plug down in there, and as you can see, it's recessed past the front of the hole. And it's in there nice and tight. It's actually in there so tight that the little corners that I was tightening with, you know, stripped off or whatever. It's brass, it's soft. I got the thread locker on it. I don't think it's gonna leak. This engine block right here is a maybe in the first place. I've had a lot of troubles with getting it back together on the budget that it's on. And at this point, maybe a used engine from another car and a whole other parts car is the answer. Stay tuned to find out, because I've got some links on some parts cars, one even the same color of the Prelude, and that might be a thing. It's like 3 hours away, so 6-hour round trip with a tow dolly. I got to factor in that math as far as the cost of the car to see if it's worth it to go that way or if it's worth it just to get a local junkyard engine and still pick the pieces and parts that I'm missing off of to finish the Prelude up. But in the meantime, we're gonna go forward with this engine. I'm gonna keep putting it together, and if it ends up going in that car, fantastic. And if not, I got an H22 that I've been, you know, poking around with for a while. I might take all back apart and do again. Who knows? For today, that's all the time that I have. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see any more builds, and we've got lots of fun stuff coming up for the future. Have a great day.